it's on WhatsApp, and I'm going to post it onto Facebook just to let everyone know, and Twitter, just to share the fact that I am streaming. Okay, today I'm very proud to announce I'm streaming some of my favorite comics. I'm streaming the Identity Crisis, and it's not the DC comic Identity Crisis. I found out is something that exists. It's the Spider-Man Identity Crisis, which is a really good storyline. It's some of my favorite Spider-Man comics. So let me start some music. We're going to listen to Neon at Midnight again, because it's a really, really nice piece of music. Piece of music. Several very nice pieces of music that I quite like. Let's see, adjusting the volume on the volume thing doesn't really do anything. Okay, so let me just get my chat up. There we go. Ignore this. These are all the various recordings I've done of the stream, and sound tests and such. Okay, so recently, before I get into the Spider-Man, I've been playing Shenmue on my PC, which is great, and I've been meaning to stream that. Problem is, keyboard controls, I've not completely mastered them yet. They're not bad. I want to be able to do some fighting in the game proficiently so that I know what I'm doing. So I'm going to have to practice a bit at it, but for now, I'm going to stick with comics, and we will stream Shenmue at some point soon. So look forward to that. So Spider-Man Identity Crisis. As we know, Norman Osborn has put a bounty on Spider-Man for what started to be $1 million and was raised to $5 million. Because of this, people were constantly hunting Spider-Man down, and it made it really difficult for him to be Spider-Man. So here's where the beauty of this story arc comes in. This story arc is about the 4 different identities that Peter Parker makes when he realizes he can't be Spider-Man anymore. Him and Mary Jane make these identities for him, and it makes for some really fun Spider-Man stories. What I particularly like about them is the writing is more akin to classic Spider-Man stories. There's lots of alliteration and fun with adjectives, and it's a great time. So let's get into it. Our story, for the most part, begins here, true believer, with the less than inconspicuous late-night arrival of the one and only, thank God, Norton G. Fester. Also known in some of the more stylish metropolitan restaurants and psych wards as the larcenous and loquacious looter. I love that word, loquacious. It's very talkative. I love it. I'm quite loquacious myself. Loot, loot, loot. See, Schmoopy? I told you there was nothing to worry about. Schmoopy is his name for his gun. Isn't that a nice name? And there's a looter. He looks a lot like Peter Parker, but with slightly thicker eyebrows and a beard, which is interesting. And you said you were afraid of heights. Now that we've finally found a way to tap into the fantastic outer spatial energies that were for so long locked away within your beautimonious meteoric physique, now we can achieve the greatness we were intended for. You guessed it, friend. The diagnosis is delusional. So he found this meteor and it gave him powers. He thinks that the meteor is a weapon as well, and he's a little. He's got an overactive imagination. Okay, baby, it's go time, and he's kissing it there, kissing the emerald. Come on, baby, you can do it. You're tired? Maybe we shouldn't have stayed up to watch Conan last night. It's alright, precious. I'll get us in. There it is, sweetie. As seen on TV, a safe full of bounty money just waiting to be looted. And with but a tug from my meteor granted super strength, it yields to our superior administrations, Can you hear it, princess? That's $5 million calling my Festa? Oh no. How many times have I told you not to play with dirty money? Who is this? It's not Spider-Man. Amy says, oh hi Amy. Amy says, hello friend. How are you doing, Amy? Welcome aboard. You come just in time for the start of the story. 4 different Spider-Man identities, 4 different stories. It's going to be a real good time. The advert was long. That's one of the things about Twitch that confuses me. The adverts are really long. I don't actually have my stream on in the background, which I probably should. Oh, actually, I do have it playing in the background, but oh, how about that? But yeah, the adverts are very long. Good evening. I've got myself a GOW. How are you, Amy? I was telling everyone how I got Shenmue for PC, and I'm looking forward to streaming that soon once I've worked out how to play it on the keyboard. So this hero is the Hornet, and this hero. So we're not reading Sensational Spider-Man, we're reading the Sensational Hornet, as it says up there. How many times have I told you not to play with dirty money? Who the? What's that you say, Spider-File? You thought you were picking up a marvelous mag of your favorite web-slinging wall crawler? Well, trust us, you did. Then, where you say, is the jumping and flipping and whipping? Well, to answer that query, O loyal one, we need to do a little jumping of our own back to several nights ago at the warehouse workshop of Hobie Brown, electronics wizard, inventor, and part-time prowler. That's the superhero prowler, just in case there's any confusion. Amy says, a fine choice. I'm good, thanks. Been reading Kingsman. Is it a direct, like, is the film a direct adaptation, or is the comic completely different? Because I was wondering about the continuity of it, whether it was similar to the film or separate. Because I know the films are excellent, and I'm sure the comics are too. But I know the comic came first, right? And it's a Marvel comic, I think. I don't know a massive amount about it. Oh yeah, and Pow, this is one of the few panels that actually has Spider-Man in it in this book. I mean it, man. Whatever you need. After all you've done for me, I owe you a solid and then some. And with the way everyone's been coming down on you lately. Tell me about it. The Bugle spends more time painting me public enemy #1 than they do reporting the news. It's nuts! And they've accused me of murder and kidnapping. And putting the 5 million bounty on my head only brought all the muscleheads out from under their rocks. People are getting hurt or killed over this. Innocent kids are being caught in the crossfire. And it's to the point where the most responsible thing to do is to stop being Spider-Man. So I'm thinking, if I can't be Spidey, who can I be? And what do I know that might have a few tricks up his and who do I know that might have a few tricks up his inventive sleeve? Amy says it's a little different, but great. So it's like I do enjoy watching something when the film is a little different to the comics. Although I remember reading the Kick-Ass comic after watching the film, and the comic, despite being illustrated by John Romita Jr., I didn't really like the comic as much. I felt that it was trying too hard to be edgy, although the art was fantastic, because John Romita Jr., hey, it's my favourite. Well, there's this. It's like a jetpack with auto gyros and whatnot. I've been working on it for about a year, and it operates just fine, except for one continuing pain in the butt problem. It's too heavy. You'd break your back if you tried to put it on. I've recast the components in the lightest materials. Even tried it with an anti-grav harness, but it's, hey Webhead, are you even listening? Oh yeah, stupid me. I'm talking about the pack being too heavy. With someone who can bench press the Hulk. I love how it's just casually lifting up that car there. Sorry Hopes, I was just looking at this. This is giving me a great idea. Like a feather. Yeah, for you maybe. Now it's all cybernetics, so you want to be careful what you... think. Oh man. So it's kind of like a telepathic helmet that you tell it when to activate, it will activate and make a mess. That's great. Take it, man, with my blessing. Just promise me one thing. If you're going to start it up, you take it outside first. Sorry, Hobie, but I gotta tell you, this is gonna be the best. Which brings us back to where we started. Well, kinda, almost. Give it up, Luther. You know we always, I know nothing. Especially you. I've never even seen you before. But that won't stop me from stopping you from stopping me. That 5 mil is mine. I looted it. And I'm the best there is at what I do, which is loot. Meanwhile, working late in his small office down the hall of the Daily Bugle, Flash Thompson becomes suspicious. That crash. I thought I heard something in Mr. Osborn's office before, but now I'm positive. Better check it out. That's a massive keyboard. I guess it was the 90s. Little hiccup there. As much as I love Comixology, sometimes it does crash at opportune moments. It's alright though. No problem. That's far enough, B-Man or Mr. Sting or whatever your name is. You are now in the sights of the most powerful element in the universe. Now that I've tapped into my Meteor's phantasmic energies and adjusted the setting on the gun's selector ray, it will take but a twitch of my finger to vaporize you like so much. Ha 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 ha. Looty, it's just a rock. You found the meteor, the gas came out, it gave you super strength. That's it. End of story. It's dead. It's just a worthless hunk of stone. And what you've done now is put a barrel and stock on it. You mean it's... Alright, you jerks. What do you think you're doing in Mr. Osborn's office? Just a rock, huh? Not so funny now, is it, Professor Buzzy? Now, if you'll just slide me that briefcase, I'll be happy to give you... what's your name, Hotshot? Flash? I'll be happy to give you flashback. Flashback? Flashback? Very superfluous flashback here. Yes, well, it was just the other night while I was lodging around in my secret lair, which I had recently purloined from the notorious Owl. We were watching the news, waiting for Seinfeld to come on. Cooperation with the New York Police Department, the Daily Bugle offers this $5 million bounty for the capture of the murderous vigilante known as Spider-Man. We will... $5 million just sitting in that office waiting for us to come and relieve them of it. That money could be ours, Pookie. With my legendary shooting skills and your newly harnessed meteoric power, it would be like taking toast from a toaster. What do you say, Precious? Are you in? Oh, Snooky, you've made me so happy. Okay, when we okayed this flashback, this wasn't really what we had in mind. What we were really shooting for was earlier tonight at the home of Peter and Mary Jane Parker. Peter, are you done? You've been playing around up here for hours and... Oh wow. Do you like it? Well, the lines are great and the colours work. Maybe I should redesign the... Honey, your designs are perfect. It all came together without a hitch. It's the best. And wait until you see how this baby handles. Oh no, Mr. Poppy, you're not getting me up in one of... What did I tell you, honey? Isn't this great? We're flying. Yeah, Tiger, great. Are you sure you've got me? Yes, I've got you, but you don't feel it. Don't you feel it, MJ? I feel so liberated, so free, like we've finally risen above all the garbage that's been polluting our lives recently. Like this new identity is giving us a clean start, giving us back our lives. Oh, I like the sound of that. Maybe you'd like to land this thing someplace and I can... Hey, do you hear honking? Honk, honk, honk. Peter, it's geese! I don't know what geese are doing flying around New York, but hey, hang on, we'll be alright. Oh my god, Peter, we're falling. It's okay, I think we just got some feathers caught in the intake fence. Do something. Right. Quick, MJ, pull my finger. Peter, this is no time for... No, honey, it releases the gauntlet. I can't do it and hold you at the same time. We're good. Peter, I'm whipping. So if you take the glove off, you can fire your webs just in case. That's going to be the last thing he wants to do, because then everyone will know he's Spider-Man if he does that. Got it. That's good. It will stop him from falling to his death. Well, I guess you can take the man out of the spider, but you can't save it, Homer. You just took 20 years off my life, and once my heart starts beating again, I'm going to kill you. Oh man, what is that the time? I've got to go back home. I've got to get you back home. I was supposed to meet Billy 5 minutes ago. I'd be more than willing to take a cab. Man, this like totally bites it. This is like the 4th time Peter's blown me off. when we were gonna hang. What's up with him? I mean, I want us to be buds and everything, but not if he's gonna... Whoa, what's that? Something must have passed in front of the moon, but it was freaky, like X-Files freaky. I'm going home. And above, the villainous vulture soars through the city's concrete canyons. Obsessed with but one thought, to find and destroy the one man responsible for stealing away his misappropriated youth. That wall-crawling miscreant, Spider-Man. And that should really catch us up, we think. So just slide me the briefcase, Hornet Head, and no one gets hurt. Man, I know that gun is harmless, that rock is just a rock, but the looter does have super strength, and he does have Flash in a precarious position. He could easily snap his neck if I tried anything, and though I don't believe he would, can't take that chance. Don't think I'm bluffing, Buzzy. I've got a meteor here and I'm not afraid to use it. Why, my little princess here is capable of doing things you couldn't even imagine, so don't push me. I'm a tough guy. Oh, I believe it, although I don't know how you're going to do anything with that gun, since you left the selector ray on Poach? What? But I thought... yeah. I don't know what a selector ray is. I don't think he does either. Made you look... pow! Biff! Crack! Some classic sound effects there. Alright, hold it there. On the floor, looter, or I use this thing. No, please, my baby, don't! You have no idea of the power, the otherworldly energies you could release. It's... Wait a minute. This isn't even a rock. This feels like... Shield agents, everybody freeze! We've been watching you, Fester, and we want the meteor. My Snooky, darling, no, they can't have you. You're... Oh... She's mine! She's... What happened to him? That would be me, Sedative Stingers. And thanks for the Sedative Stingers. And thank you for the assist, Ben. I knew that would come in handy, bro. So let me explain. The Scarlet Spider, Ben Reilly, who was a clone of Peter Parker, had the ability to sting bad guys. Like, he created a special kind of web shooter which stung people. And Peter here has copied that technology in this costume. And shortly... Totally phenomenal. You're a real hero. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Hornet. He risked his life tonight to save mine and also prevent the robbery of 5 million bounty that the Daily Bugle is offering for Hornet, Hornet, Hornet. Norman Osborn, my boy, wanted to thank you personally for what you did this evening. Although there was never any money in the briefcase, who keeps 5 million in their office safe, am I right? But we'll have a chance to discuss this later in more detail, won't we? Yes, I could really use a man with your skills on my team. Mr. Hornet, you're new to the New York superhero scene. Where did you come from? I'm from Charlotte. I don't know where that is. I don't know if that's a borough from New York or another place in America, but somewhere. Are you here to go after the Spider-Man bounty? He hasn't been seen for... let's just say that I don't think you have to worry about Spider-Man from now on. Are you still married to Janet Van Dien? No, that's... Will you be rejoining the Avengers? No, that's not me, that's Yellow Jacket. Hornet, Hornet, Hornet. I'm sorry, excuse me. I've got to go. Nearby, at the spectacular appearance of a startling new hero tonight following ER. Man, I really thought that Peter and I were on our way to becoming pals. It seems like every time we have plans to hang out together, he bags out. I don't know, maybe Peter Parker isn't the type of guy you can be friends with. Won't have to worry about Spider-Man anymore? To what do you imply? Enough! Someone like the Vulture probably goes through quite a few TVs. That's quite the TV smash. Spider-Man was my vengeance. He was mine to kill. If this Hornet has robbed me of my final revenge, then he shall pay with his life. Next issue. He pays. Not quite next issue. What's interesting about this volume is they take... Each story is 2 parts. The first 4 stories in the book are the first parts of the individual hero stories, and the second 4 stories are the second parts. Now, the second to last story in the entire graphic novel, I think, is the spiritual conclusion of this arc. So it's got this incredible moment in it. And the last one concludes the story itself. But it's a good time. So this is The Amazing Spider-Man. The first one is Sensational Spider-Man. I also think they've got Peter Parker Spider-Man, and it's supposed to be 4 series. I'm not sure what the 4th one is, but it may be. Well, we'll see in a moment. Who knows? So this is The Amazing Ricochet, not The Amazing Spider-Man. Round and round with Ricochet. There's an ancient Chinese curse. May you live in interesting times. Somebody, and there's a veritable rogues gallery of suspects, must have put a real whammy on me. In the past few weeks, I've been accused of murdering some lowlife. The Daily Bugle posted a $5 million bounty on my head. The police, along with every testosterone case in the city, are currently hunting me. And I was almost beaten to death by a new gang lord who calls himself the Black Tarantula. Oops, almost forgot my most important development. I also gave up being Spider-Man. And I have a brand new costume identity. 4 of them, in fact. Who are you? I'll give you a hint. My name begins with R and rhymes with McCrane. You some kind of Joker? No way, man. Joker starts with a J, and I have enough personal hassles without getting involved in a trademark dispute. Just call me Ricochet. Them crazy discs, they're bouncing all over the place. Well, duh. In case you haven't already guessed, my nom de costume is in the Iron Man School of Subtlety. Ricochet applies to my weapons and my rather amazing athletic abilities. Cool, huh? I don't expect a response. These poor stiffs were in the middle of a friendly neighborhood hijacking when I chanced upon them. While this doesn't happen to be my neighborhood, I couldn't resist the opportunity to test out my new look and to show off for the lovely lass who's been following me for the past 9 blocks. Why'd you attack us? What do you want? You another Captain America wannabe? So interesting thing about Ricochet is he's actually undercover as a supervillain rather than being a superhero. So he's ad-libbing and pretending to be a supervillain. It's quite interesting. Now, I'm strictly in the costume biz for my own profit. I want a piece of whatever action you guys are trying to hustle. Why settle for a piece when you can have the entire case? What's the haul? Video equipment? Computers? Furs? Stuffed animals? Of course, these are the bear babies that all the kids want. In the 90s, Beanie Babies were very popular, so I'm guessing this is a reference to that. Not bad, gentlemen. You could probably expect $20-25 a bear. About 10 cases with 100 or so bears per brings you up $25,000. You know, you've got expenses to consider like kickbacks, bribes, and fencing fees. It's almost a decent night's pay. And that's even after you subtract my cut. I'm willing to accept $5,000, but that's only if you have the cash on hand. The price will be higher if I have to wait until you... sounds like somebody put in a call to 911. Where's that famous New York antipathy? I can't pronounce it. Antipathy for involvement when you really need it. Guess nobody's going to profit tonight, fellas, except little old me. Rumor has it that this Black Tarantula was recently guaranteed an exclusive on all hijackings within this section of Manhattan. If that's true, he won't be real happy to hear that I'm poaching on his turf. Oh, poor baby. He may not realize it, but I'm determined to become the El Nino of his nightmares. He recently caught me on an off day and beat me to a bloody pulp. But if that wasn't bad, and as if that wasn't bad enough, he also just humiliated me by ripping off my mask and keeping it for a trophy. It wasn't like he even cared about my secret identity. He never even glanced at my face. As far as I'm concerned, as far as he was concerned, I was completely beneath his notice. The tarantula may have drawn first blood, but I'll win the war. Although I did turn up a few disturbing facts the other day at the Daily Bugle. I'm telling you, Parker, this can't be right. What do you mean, Ben? I've been hitting all my contacts both in law enforcement and international news media, trying to dig up dirt on the Black Tarantula. So, it looks like you've managed to locate quite a few sources. Yeah, but not sure I can trust any of them. Why not? Because a lot of these references date back to before the last World War. Wow, that's pretty old. If this guy was only in his teens when he started building his criminal empire, he'd be in his 60s by now. Is it possible that the man I fought is some kind of superpowered immortal? That would certainly explain how he trashed me so easily. Hi, Peter. I hope you haven't forgotten that you promised to take me shopping this afternoon. Oh, I'll be right with you, Mary Jane. Try to restrain yourself, Tiger. This is a place of business, after all. Such enthusiastic displays of passion may embarrass your co-workers. Wow. Owned. You'd better go, Pete. It never pays to keep the wife waiting. We'll finish this later. Did I miss something, honey? Clueless. Absolutely clueless. Where are you off to in such a hurry, Parker? Oh, great. I assume you've seen our morning edition, my boy. What do you think of the city's newest costume, crime fighter? Sorry, Norman, I bypassed that story and went straight to Dilbert. Do I detect a note of hostility, my boy? Do you perhaps take issue with the Hornet's statement about us not having to worry about Spider-Man anymore? Nope, but I wouldn't buy into that blowhard's rap unless I was ready for a major disappointment. If you don't mind, Mr. Osborn, Peter and I have things to do. Hey everybody, I just got a postcard from Joe and Martha Robertson. How are they enjoying Europe, Glory? According to this, they're having a great time. They're in Greece now. They've already toured Attica and Athens, and are headed for the island of Euboea, which is somewhere near the Aegean Sea. Euboea? If you people will please excuse me, a pressing matter demands my attention. Maybe I should have also sent a card to Norman Osborn. You can't be serious, Martha. You know how I feel about that man. He's the reason why I left the Bugle. Exactly. If it weren't for him, you'd still be stressing out in that miserable job, instead of relaxing on the beautiful coastline. Come join me, Joe. The views are breathtaking. I'll be right with you, dear. I just have to check up on our dinner reservations. So this is the reason Robbie picked this place to go to is because he wants to dig up some dirt on the Green Goblin, Norman Osborn, and he's working to take him down. He may have seemed like he'd retired, but he's got another agenda, which is quite cool. I've been waiting for your call, Robertson. I have confirmed that the yacht is owned by Osborn. Have you found it yet? I believe you know the location. I expect to drop by tonight. Call me tomorrow if you learn anything. Yes, of course. Everything okay? Couldn't be better. What I'm saying is that Osborn seemed pretty disturbed by Robbie's postcard. You're just jealous because of your I wouldn't buy into that blowhard speech didn't even faze him. Although I rather enjoy the irony of him telling you about the Hornet. Yeah, that was kinda cool. But is this shopping trip necessary? Probably not, but it's better to be safe than sorry. You agreed to stop being Spider-Man while that $5 million bounty is still in your head. You know, others tried changing their identities before, like Absorbing Man, Titania, and the Thunderbolts. They always get exposed. You're going to try and beat the odds by taking on a few new looks. You already have the Hornet suit you got from your friend Hobie Brown, that Dusk costume which you recently got in Negative Zone, and the Prodigy identity which we designed together. One more should do it. Here, we have to disguise ourselves in case we find anything. Recycled? Raymond? I can't believe you're taking me to a used clothing store. Hey, not my fault, we're working on a tight budget. I think you're just into playing dress-up. Now that you mention it, you do bear a vague resemblance to a doll I used to play with. Ken? Mr. Potato Head! Owned! What an ownage. I love it. Check this out, Tiger, and it even comes with an insignia on the back. An R? You gotta be kidding. That whole leather jacket craze died out years ago. Don't you believe it, mister? Leather is always in style. That jacket's from a rodeo bar that folded a few years ago. I may even have a matching t-shirt in the back. If we have a fit, you have a sale. Great, just great. Now we have to come up with a cool name which begins with R. How cool could it be? How hard could it be? I mean, cool name, Robert. That's a cool name, right? That begins with an R. Not very superhero though. I've always liked my name because it sounds like the kind of name a superhero would be given. It sounds a bit like Robert Rostand. It has that Peter Parker ring to it. I love that. A lot weirder than when I first started out. And I can't think of a single costumed hero whose name begins with R. Rocket Racer, Rogue, Red Wolf. Okay. And then there's always Robin, the Rocketeer, Robocop. And the rest, as they say, is history. Got to give Mary Jane credit. She designed the mask, put the rest of the outfit together, and even came up with a name. Of course, she'll probably question my decision to play Ricochet as a less than law-abiding member of society. But that's an ad-lib which suddenly occurred to me, when my spider sense clued me to the fact that someone was shadowing me. As a well-behaved web-slinger, I learned that I should always follow my instincts. Here's hoping a bouncing bundle of fun should do the same. Because it's time I confronted a certain shapely silhouette. Hi there, I usually don't make a habit of approaching strange women, much too Bill Clintonish for a sensitive guy like me. I figured I'd make an exception in your case. I was wondering when your curiosity would finally get the best of you, little boy. I am Delilah. Hoochie mama. So Delilah has this habit of speaking in very big text that's very colourful, like Doctor Doom. And I love it when people do that in cartoons. It's quite funny. In cartoons, in comics. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Black Tarantula, but those hijackers interrupted are members of his crew. Anybody who hires losers like that deserves to be. Hey, what's the big idea, lady? Are you with the same gang? Hardly. I work for a rival organization, and we're presently on a recruitment drive. And is this your idea of a job interview? Can you suggest a better way for me to determine if you have the necessary skills and daring? At that very moment, on a yacht moored on the island of Uboa, Miss Mongrain, we are members of the secret order of Scryers, and we have come to you to request, at the request of the man you know as Norman Osborn. Yeah, he phoned earlier and told me to expect you. So Scryers, unfortunately this plotline is kind of relevant to the story later on, known as The Gathering of Five, which is one of the worst Spider-Man stories I've ever read since Sins Forgotten. I haven't read Sins Remembered, but I've heard that's actually worse than Sins Forgotten. But hey, the Scryers were interesting when they first appeared though. Mr. Osborn entrusted you with something of value. Circumstances now dictate that you relinquish it to us. Is there any way I could accompany you? I've grown rather attached to Miss Mongrain. One does not question Mr. Osborn. He instructed us to compliment you on your unswerving dedication, and he hopes you will be pleased with this final payment. Please thank him for me. I'll go get the... Hurry, time is of the essence. What about this yacht? Should I remove my things and put it into dry dock somewhere? Consider it a parting gift. Mr. Osborn truly hopes you will enjoy it. Yeah, I bet he hopes you enjoy it after it explodes. For whatever moments it remains to you. And someone watching. No offense, lady. I've read enough tabloids to know how you super types enjoy a good gratuitous fight. But I moseyed over to the spandex side of town strictly for the money. If you survive, you will have an unlimited potential for profit. Survive? Heck, I expect to make the all-star team. Unless Delilah is an even better actor than I am, I'd say she has absolutely no idea who I really am. I just have to remember to move a little slower than usual and to ignore my spider sense, so that she can score an occasional shot, and you're a little too cocky for your own good, kid, and that could cost you. No problem, just take it out of those so-called unlimited profits. This is no game, bouncy boy. The Black Tarantula is not your average muscle-bound super-powered crime lord. He is virtually immortal and unkillable. You can't be serious. Do I look like I'm joking? Nope. But anyone could be deceived by appearances. Meanwhile, somewhere on Staten Island, I gathered you both together so that we can move past all this unpleasantness. We're all businessmen, and we must never allow our egos to interfere with our profits. With all due respect, Don Fortunato, that is very easy for you to say. You granted the Black Tarantula permission to operate in the city. You'll still get your cut, no matter who controls hijacking. At your request, I surrendered that portion of my operation to the Tarantula, but I expect to be compensated. The Rose has a reasonable request. How do you propose to satisfy him? If it will keep the peace, I'm willing to negotiate an equitable figure, which will be paid to him on a monthly basis. There will never be peace! Not while the Black Tarantula still draws breath. I believe you, lady, honest. It is imperative that you understand exactly what you'll be up against. I can crush an armored tank with my bare hands. And yet, I was helpless as a newborn. The one time I fought the Black Tarantula, my injuries were so extensive that I surely would have died. But for some reason, for reasons which still elude me, you chose to heal me. You can't possibly imagine how degraded I felt. Wanna bet? What did you say, punk? Are you man enough to help me destroy the Black Tarantula? Delilah's wildcard, a known psychopath who wouldn't stop at murder. But she's also my best shot at drawing the monster out of hiding. I have my own reasons for waiting to take the Black Tarantula down. Can I really prevent her from killing him? Am I sure that I can even stop myself? So there we go, he's teamed up with this bad guy to try and fight a bigger bad guy. It's classic superhero stuff. Empire State University. Tomorrow's test will focus on the work of Dr. Robert Fredrickson. So Peter's back at university at the moment. So I expect everyone to be prepared. We'll be ready, Professor. Professor Catches. See that you are, Mr. Slattery. Terrific lecture, Marina, as usual. Glad you enjoyed it, Mary Jane. Chantal and I are going for a quick latte. You interested? Sounds great, but it'll have to be real quick. My son's daycare lets out in an hour. You never mentioned a son? Well, I guess I tend to be somewhat secretive when Fabian is concerned. His father and I had a rather bitter breakup, so there's someone watching. As you noticed in the last few chapters, there's been someone spying on like Peter Parker and Mary Jane in the background, and he's appeared again. And he looks really strange. Euboea. Mira, allons, mamma mia. This is so horrible, Joe. John says, looking good, Robbo. I can't see you, John, but I'm sure you're looking good too. Hey, bro, how you doing? I've got myself a nice glass of water here, GOW. We should get back to the hotel, Martha. There isn't anything we can do here. Of all the blasted luck, that's the very boat I came to investigate. Is it only coincidence that exploded, or does Osborn somehow... Look, they're pulling a body from the bay. It's the woman from the yacht. Fortune must smile upon her. She lives. Well, you in or out? In. How did surveillance go, Chesborough? She follows the same daily schedule with only minor variations, Master. Here are the photos you requested. It's getting creepy here in the story. She is still quite beautiful, no? How was your meeting? As well as could be expected, Fortunato and the Rose are fools. They live only to conduct business and think that I am as short-sighted as they. But a man who looks down the centuries knows that what is truly of value, as others may prove useful. Her first inclination, well, it's very scary here, will be, of course, to resist me, but she may relent when she understands that such defiance will prove fatal to her friends. Contrary to her belief shared by Fortunato and the Rose, financial profit did not lure me to this city. I came on a mission of vengeance. So does he want vengeance against Spider-Man? Or Mary Jane? Who knows? We're going to have to see. I don't actually know how this story ends, because I can't really remember. I did read Spider-Man in the 90s, late 90s and early 2000s, but I honestly can't remember much of it. So Peter Parker, Spider-Man, Identity Crisis. I believe this is the Dusk chapter. So there's one chapter for each hero. He was Spider-Man, and today he is Dusk. But no matter what Norman Osborn, J. Jonah Jameson, or life throws it, he will be Spider-Man again. I think this one's illustrated by John Romita Jr. Yes. As a fog rolls across New York City. It's a man walking through. Our story begins with ninjas. John says, all the better for seeing you, mate. Oh, thanks, John. Have you seen the Marvel relaunches at all? I've started reading Spider-Man and Spider-Geddon. Yeah, I love the relaunch of Spider-Man. I've been following it for the last three issues. And Spider-Geddon is really cool. I love like the whole punk rock, heavy metal aspect to it. And the next Spider-Geddon issue is going to be the giant robot Evangelion-like one. But yeah, I love the relaunch of Spider-Man because Nick Spencer's doing such a good job at writing it. Now that, well, I don't want to give any spoilers out, but yeah, now that what's going on with Peter Parker and Spider-Man in the story is really interesting, and it's good to see that there's always new ideas and new story ideas to go for with Spider-Man. So I'm really happy with it going forward. I'd also recommend Peter Parker the Spectacular Spider-Man, which is coming to an end soon, but the first 3 volumes are out now, and it is one of the best pieces of Spider-Man writing I've seen recently. It's really funny, and it's got great art as well. But I think it's just going to be amazing Spider-Man and Spidey-Geddon for the next few months, which are great. I'm also looking forward to Superior Octopus, which is Dr. Octopus as a superhero. It's going to be really cool. A story begins with ninjas. Paste Pot Pete? What, you trying to irritate me? Yeah, this guy is called the Trapster. He's a supervillain who uses glue to trap people. He used to be called Paste Pot Pete when he appeared in the Fantastic Four stories in the 50s. Not the most intimidating bad guys, but he's actually used quite clever effect in this story. Well, he was. They call me the Trapster. You boneheads are from the Hand, right? The secret society of Japanese assassins. I should have figured he wouldn't want me walking around knowing what I know. So you guys picked up the contract, huh? Well, let's get it over with. Though I've got to tell you, I've run into a few of you over the past years. Can't say I've been overly impressed. You will be. John says it's really good. Also, the new Venom is sick. So, because I know that Flash Thompson isn't Venom anymore because of him being dead. And is Eddie Brock still Venom at the moment, or is there a new Venom? I also saw Venom, which is Venom set in Vietnam, and that looks brilliant. I'd love to read that. It's unfortunate there's so many good comics coming out at the moment, so I'm spending so much money. I dropped into Piranha Comics the other day, and I had a great time, John. I love it there. It's like my favourite shop. I'm going to see if I could get a job there, actually. That'd be wicked. That'd be the dream. So these ninjas are here. Minutes later. Nice try, gentlemen. So, like, this guy who was known as Paste Pot Pete has just beaten 4 ninja. And, yeah. It's tougher than he sounds at that moment. No, not there, and back. Come on, I'm supposed to meet Arthur Stacey in 5 minutes. If you'd stop squirming and hold still. I think it's a snap. Ow. Sorry, I told you to hold still. Not that one, the other one. Fine, do it yourself. I will. You know, I've been getting myself dressed in the morning ever since I was a kid. You asked. Drop it. I'm late. How do I look, Mary Jane? No, you look terrific, Peter. Like a genuine superhero. Oops. He's got his identities confused there and mixed them all up. I love that panel. What was I thinking? 4 identities? This is ridiculous. I don't know what made me think this would ever work. So it's Eddie Brock as Venom now. And yeah, because I remember Eddie Brock became what was he called? Anti-Venom for a while. So it's good that he's back to Venom. And Cosmic Ghost Rider is unreal. Is that Ghost Rider in space? Is that Space Knight as Ghost Rider? Because I know Space Knight is back at the moment. 4 identities. This is ridiculous. Don't know what made me think this would ever work. I'm going out with Spider-Man. It's who I am. Come on, Peter. I was just kidding. Are you forgetting about the $5 million price Norman Osborn put on your head for the murder of that Joey Z guy? Or maybe that everybody in the city is willing to forget all the good you've done for the chance to collect the reward? We agreed that different identities would allow you to continue to do good while finding the real killer. Sorry, MJ, it just doesn't feel right. This is who I am. It's who I've always been. I've got to do what feels right. You understand? No, I don't. I'm too young to be spending all of my time waiting by a window wondering if you're going to be killed by the next supervillain. I know this is who you are, and I respect you for it, but I'm just too young. I'm sorry. A short time later, at Cypress Hills Cemetery. Wait, so it's Ghost Rider in space, basically kidnapping baby Thanos. So is he like kidnapping Thanos so that he doesn't turn into Thanos and do any of like the stuff that he does in the comics? That sounds pretty jokes. I think I might have to read that. I'm worried I'm going to spend so much money on comics, man. It happens though. I think With Marvel relaunching a lot of their series, I saw the Captain America as well, the new Captain America, after now that he's not a member of Hydra anymore, and that's really interesting because it actually looks at the fallout of the what's it called, Secret Empire storyline. I think the Secret Empire storyline in Captain America was written by the guy who's writing Spider-Man now as well. Arthur Stacy, world-renowned private investigator, practices the single most important skill of his profession: patience. Nasty habit, Arthur, and besides... Oh, so he's webbed up his tobacco pipe. That's pretty funny. Nasty habit, Arthur, and besides, it makes me sneeze. And you don't even want to think about what it's like to sneeze with a mask on. What are you doing in this costume? I thought you were going to assume some other guys. Don't you start on me too. I've been getting a lot of your walking lottery ticket stuff. It's true. Not to mention the entire NYPD would like to bring you down just for the heck of it. Detective Snipes, I'm glad you could make it. Only out of respect for you and your brother, sir. I'm uncomfortable with this situation, so I'm going to make this quick. The lab boys confirm your claim, Spider-Man. The webbing you supplied me with is a distinctly different chemical composition to that used to suffocate Joey Z. Someone is going through an awful lot of trouble to frame you. I know it. The lab knows it, and the mayor and the DA don't care. They want your head. They're getting plenty of pressure from the private sector. Osborn. I could only think of one person qualified to make an adhesive which would approximate the qualities of my webbing. The Trapster. Yeah, Mr. Stacy mentioned you had your suspicions. Sounds like a good one, but you've got another problem. Someone has put a contract out on the Trapster. Nothing compared to yours, but enough to make him sweat it. Whoever set him up to set you up wants no witnesses. He dies. Any chance you had a clue in your name is gone. I know you didn't do it. There's a price in your head. I've got a job to do. The next time you see it, next time I see you, man, I'm taking you in. Goodbye, Mr. Stacy. Your brother, Captain Stacy. He was one of the finest commanders I've ever had the pleasure of serving with. I'll find the Trapster, and I'll make him talk. And do what, son? Think you have benefited from any of the direct confrontations you've had late? The one you had with Osborn started this whole mess. Great, so the one guy I need to clear my name may show up dead. Yes, it's great. It is great. He's vulnerable, maybe even a little scared. Right now he needs a friend to help keep him alive. A friend he can talk to, open up to. What are you talking about? He'd never talk to me. No, but maybe someone wearing a different mask? You're really not giving much of a choice, Arthur. It's Osborn who steals choices. Later that evening at the Empire State University Library, while Peter works feverishly on a much neglected research project, Mary Jane and Jill Stacy cram for the upcoming midterms. Mary Jane? Can we talk? Whatever. I think we need to hit the reference stats for some reference. Jill looks like she's recovered from her wounds. She sure does. Feel badly that it could happen in our house. It had to be Osborn. Things happen, especially to us. Come on, MJ, stop giving me the cold shoulder. This isn't like us. We've always been able to talk. Would you accept a heartfelt apology if I allowed you to say I told you so? Peter, I don't have time for this conversation right now. You may be the boy genius who can manage to save the world in his spare time, but I've still got to struggle to pass exams. I don't know if I'd say genius. So John's telling me about the cosmic Ghost Rider story, which sounds brilliant. So he says, yeah, he dies and goes to Valhalla, but is really insolent to Odin. So Odin forges him a cosmic bike and sends him back. Oh, that sounds cool. Man, he decides to kill Thanos, but can't because he's a baby. So he decides to kidnap him. He decides to raise him instead to stop him being evil, and Watcher turns up. Basically says this is the worst idea of in all of human history. This sounds really cool. I like the fact he's trying to raise him into being a good guy, and it sounds really cool. I'd like to see the effects of that, and see if it affects the timeline. I don't know if it's an alternate reality or not, but that sounds really cool. I'm not kidding, Peter. We both know that you're going to do whatever you want to do anyway. Saving the world, getting revenge on a lifelong enemy, travelling to alien dimensions. I know all those things are important, but we've also got real lives. I've got to read that Cosmic Ghost Rider story. It sounds really good. Man! I'm going to pick it up next time I'm at the comic shop. I'm going down there next time Amazing Spider-Man issue 4 comes out, which I think is on the 28th, possibly. I think it's Tuesday it comes. No, it's Wednesday it comes out. I've got an abnormal psych class exam to pass. As a matter of fact, maybe you'd like to be the subject of my term paper. Oh, just disappeared to there. Ouch. I think that's more than enough talk for now. A short time later. You sure you don't want to catch a ride with us, MJ? Right after my dad and I meet for dinner. We're heading back to Queens. Thanks, Jill, but I'm going to hang around for a little while and see if Peter shows up. He said he was just going out for coffee. Okay, see you tomorrow. Yeah, I'll wait for Peter. Day after day, night after night. Wait while you go off to fight the latest costume villain. Wait till the fog rolls in. Wait till I'm old and not. I'm out of here. Gotcha. Peter, I really am sorry. Forgive me, please. Of course I do. It's all starting to get to me. School, bounty on your head, Norman, everything. And this costume in particular really stresses me out. Yeah, I could see how that would be scary. It's just a costume that you can't see the person at all. I keep remembering the last time you brought an alien costume out from another dimension. Does the name Venom ring a bell? Hi, just practicing for a school play. See you around. Will you turn off the invisible button or something, Peter? You keep fading in and out of the fog, and people are looking. Cool, huh? Sure, it must be a guy thing. Sometimes I think it would just be better if I didn't know about the secret identities, the crime fighting. It would all be simpler. Don't worry, MJ, I've got it under control. I think this might work out. Norman Osborn is not going to win this time. So you're telling me I have no choice? Not really. Then Peter, Norman Osborn has already won! That moment as the fog rolls across Times Square. Peter Petruski contemplates his life. So that's Peter Petruski, the trapster, also known as Pastepot Pete. Early on, he showed promise as a research scientist for a major corporation. The patent on the multipolymer adhesive he formulated could have proven quite profitable and rocketed him to the head of his chosen profession. Instead, Petruski chose a different career track. First as Pastepot Pete and later as a trapster. He soon found himself trapped within a young man's delusions of what life as a supervillain would be. I still can't get over Pastepot Pete. What a name! They sure don't name him like they used to. Trapped until this very day. Trapped? Who traps the trapster? No one. No. Ugh. What the? Come with me if you want to live. Nice. You friending me? Excuse me, do you have glue in your ears? I said. I don't care what you said. You touched me. You die. Where'd you go? You've been inhaling that glue way too long, PT. I love this banter. Now you're talking to yourself. Listen to me. I'll try to make this real simple. Get down! I think that's two Arnold Schwarzenegger references he's just said in a row. You working for him now? That's right, pal. Me, the Shocker, in the flesh. You don't stand a chance. Look at the rest of them down there. They know enough to get lost when I show up. They've learned not to laugh at me anymore. But I gotta tell you something. You got one thing wrong. I'm working for no one but myself on this one. There's an open contract on you that, now that Spider-Man has pulled a disappearing act, makes you the #1 lottery ticket in town. Guess you pulled one job too many recently. Whoever you're working for wants to make sure everything is nice and clean. As you know, I'll do anything for a buck. Goodbye, loser. This from a man who dresses in a quilt? Whoa. Who are you? Actually, I don't care. For that, I'm gonna kill you for nothing. And never bother asking your name. Actually, it's Dusk. You just saved my life. Now I owe you one. I hate that. Sorry. Shut up. I'm trying to save both our tails now. Then, after we're even, I might kill you myself. Nice wall crawling. How'd you do that? With small amounts of adhesive and solvent released from my gloves and boots so that... Shut up! And run! So, what I love about... I mean, these stories have been starting off pretty slowly so far. It's the second half when it gets really exciting. But I like that each story has its own individual character to it. It's like The Hornet is a classic hero story from the looks of it. Ricochet is more of a weird adventure story, and this is more of a detective story. It's pretty cool. You know, this is one of those giant computer screen billboards, right? Yeah, so? Well, I'm thinking that given the nature of the Shocker's powers, this might have been a big mistake. Hi there, do me a favor, Trap. Eat glass. This is the best you got to throw with me? Like I couldn't take care of this. Shoot, used up all my glue reserves. Dusk, if you want to give me a hand, I wouldn't mind owing you one more. Dusk? Looks like your buddy wised up and took off. Too bad for you, you know? Save the speech and just get it over with, will ya? Come on, Pete. Why so glum? You gotta love the guys who go in for the big old speeches. Gives you time to do this. Where'd you go? You're really starting to tee me off. You're making me look foolish. I don't like that. I mean, he wears a quilt. He does look pretty foolish already. I've been working real hard on restoring a somewhat tarnished rep, and I certainly don't need some wannabe screwing around with me. So come here, I want to talk to you up close, real close. I got something for you. And don't worry, Trapster. I got plenty left for you. You really do run off the mouth, don't you? Maybe if you did a little less talking, you wouldn't have to work so hard on restoring your rep. Personally, I've never had such a problem. I mean, yeah, Spider-Man never talks too much. You are a dead man, and when I'm done with you, they're going to be able to pack what's left of your body in a milk container. Stop, you're scaring me. Nice. Nice going, buddy. Now I'll finish him off. Gonna glue the valves of his heart shut, and then I'm gonna hurt him. Wow, that's messed up. For someone who used to be named Pastepot Pete, he sure has a lot of malice in it. Let it go, he's down. The cops are almost here. Let's take off. Who are you? What do you want, really? I'm someone who's been raked over by Norman Osborn, just like you. I want to get even. Sounds good to me. Let's do it. What am I doing? To be continued next issue. Okay, this is the last one I'm going to read today because I need to cut it short. So I've got a few things I need to do this evening, so sorry. But this one's quite good. This is the Prodigy story. Next time I stream these comics, they will be much more exciting. But I hope you've been enjoying them so far. It's good to read something different. It doesn't really feel like you're reading Spider-Man stories exactly. Okay, the roof of Manhattan's most celebrated hotel, top of New York. This way, Ambassador. Comment on your meeting with the President. Any hints about what you're going to say to the United Nations today? Where Ambassador Hazram Shaliz of the Eastern Kingdom of Supin threads his way through a swarm of media predators. Shaliz and his wife Shanaz nod calmly to the assembled reporters, neither disturbed nor interested in their babble. But when they reach their waiting helicopter, the couple's Buddha-like voice is rudely shattered. Not a move, Mr. Ambassador, or they're going to be picking pieces of your head off this roof for months. Put the gun down now. We've got you surrounded, outnumbered, outgunned. Jeff, I wouldn't be so sure about that. We are the army of Conundrum, and we claim the Ambassador and his wife as our political prisoners. Resist, and every person here will die. Inside Shaliz, Conundrum himself is waiting to have a talk with you. Take me if you must, but let my wife go. She has done nothing to... Hazram! Do not speak unless spoken to. I trust I've made myself clear. You are dogs, less than dogs, and you will not get away with this. We already have. Take them, brother, in the name of the immortal Conundrum. All glories to the cause, all glories to our leader? Something's wrong. It's as if some unseen force is pulling us down, holding us back. A force I may be, but you could hardly say I am unseen. Sorry, I got a bit of a cold today. He just came out of nowhere. Took those terrorists down without working up a sweat. That's it, hold that pose for Uncle Billy. Look at the way he's got hold of the copter. You get the feeling he could probably snap it in half without trying. But who is he? I think he's that new hero everyone's been talking about. Don't waste your bullets, gentlemen, because they're all they're gonna do is annoy me. And now, everybody out. Raina, my beloved wife! Don't worry, Mr. and Mrs. Ambassador. You're in good hands. What a sound effect. Wang! With Prodigy! I hope that this doesn't leave you with a bad impression of our great country. Believe me, for every gun-wielding lunatic, there are hundreds of thousands of good and decent citizens who abhor the violence and lunacy that these wretched men represent. I love him. He's cheesier than Captain America. He's great. Cool. He dropped the copter and brought them both before they could hit the roof. There have been reports about Prodigy for a week now, but who'd have thought I'd actually end up getting one of the very first photos of him? When Mr. Jameson gave me this assignment, I thought it was going to be a total snore. But this may be just the thing to kickstart Billy Walters' career at the Daily Bugle. In a matter of minutes, the police arrived to take the subdued terrorists into custody. While Ambassador Chaliz, under the watchful eye of the media, approaches his superhuman savior. We have a saying in my country: save a man's life and his kingdom becomes yours. What can I give you, my masked friend, to express my eternal thanks for all that you've done here today? No thanks is necessary. I don't do this for praise or rewards. Knowing that I serve the people of this grand and glorious city is all the thanks I'll ever need. Wait, yes, young man? You can't just run off without telling us something about yourself. Who are you, Prodigy? Where did you come from? Why are you... Well, little buddy, let's just say I'm a regular fellow with powers that most regular fellows don't have. And I intend to use those powers to help people. And whenever I can, and wherever I can. Now, I don't mean to be rude, but I think it's time I continued my patrol. Evil never rests, and neither does Prodigy. I love Prodigy. Why can't he be Prodigy more? He's so cool. Well, very lame, but I like him because of that. Now that is what a hero is supposed to be. I wonder if he's looking for a sidekick. New heroes, New heroes save Supinidian ambassador. Prodigy nails terror. That's a good picture. You know what, Waters? I sent you over to get the ambassador because most of my regular photographers were on other assignments. To tell you the truth, I thought a monkey could cover this. It wasn't a big deal, but when it became a big deal, he really delivered. God, look at the light glimmering off of his armor. It's beautiful. I love how JJ seems to like the Prodigy. It's a real, punch in the face to Spidey. I agree, Jonah. William's got the potential to be a terrific reporter and a top photographer. Oh, wrong voice. We really hit the mother load when we hired this boy on. Thanks, Mr. Osborn, but really taking pictures isn't my thing. Most of what I know I picked up from Peter Parker. I mean, the guy's a genius when it comes to... Let me give you some advice, son. Humility is a waste of your time. Know your strengths and exploit them without excuses. That's classic Osborn. Now, come into my office. I want to talk to you about this Prodigy. The Supinidian ambassador is an old friend of mine. Prodigy saved Hazram's life, and I wanted to thank him. Thank you. And with a little luck, and with some way to use him against Spider-Man, Amy says back. Welcome back, Amy. It's a little peculiar, don't you think, Norman? That Prodigy, Dusk, and Hornet have popped up at the same time? No more peculiar than when the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Daredevil 4, and many others made their first appearances a few years back. Maybe this is the beginning of the next wave. Let's see. Oh, John says, wee! And Amy says, there's this thing on John's phone, but my phone was charging. No problem. It's whatever phone you're listening on, it's all good. Come along, my boy. Let's have a little chat about Prodigy, about your future with my newspaper. Mind if I join you? Yes, actually. Wow. Way to go, Bill. Thanks, Flash, I think. Guess who? Courtney Love. Much cuter. Kate Winslet. Far more sophisticated. Fiona Apple. I don't know who any of these people. I know who Courtney Love is. Slightly older. Betty Braun. Love of my life? Exactly. How are you doing, gorgeous? Much better. Now that I'm here with you. It's funny, she used to be married to Ned Leeds, who was wrongly accused of being the Hobgoblin. Flash Thompson was also wrongly accused of being Hobgoblin, and she's going out with him now, so she seems to have a thing for people that were cleared of being the Hobgoblin. You still on for tonight? Dinner and Les Mis? Wouldn't miss it for the world. That's interesting that Flash Thompson has offered to take her to Les Mis. I wouldn't have taken him for the Les Mis type. Gotta get back to work, handsome. This paper grinds to a halt without its star reporter. See you later. A great job as Norman Osborn's assistant. A great woman like Betty. I haven't had a drink in over a month. Life just doesn't get any better than this. Good on you, Flash. It's really sad what happens to Flash Thompson later on in this arc. Well, in another Spider-Man story a few years after this. But I'm happy to see him doing well now. Flash Thompson is one of my favourite Spider-Man characters. Somewhere in the city, there walks a living mystery, a human enigma named Conundrum, whose base is like a puzzle. For hours now, he has knelt in meditation and prayer, seeking the inner guidance of his long-dead master, seeking too the wisdom and courage to proceed with his plans. What to do next, he muses. He finds the answer in the pieces of a jigsaw puzzle, blank pieces when he first lays them out on the table. But as Conundrum concentrates, an image appears, a glittering ruby held in a finely sculpted hand. He nods satisfied and then returns his gaze to the mirror, to himself, and wonders, as he has every day for more years than he can remember. Who am I? What lies beneath this shifting face, beneath the riddles that are my thoughts? Did the man I was before the master found me have a name, a family? Did he have possessions, passions and weaknesses? But the only answer he receives is, "You are Conundrum now. That is enough." And it is. With an almost girlish giggle, he throws the switch. I can imagine that. He's like, "Eee!" And the cage descends. "Ah, the charming daughter of the ambassador. How are you, my dear Tabriz? To think that while my men were making their attempts on your father's life, which was never intended to succeed, I was personally breaching the Suphidian embassy to claim this precious gem. What are you going to do to me? I wouldn't worry about your health or safety, my dear, too much. All your father needs to do to ensure your return is to give me the fabled hand. And of course, if he doesn't, well, I might have to take your hand and mail it to him." Oh, that's scary. Followed by other severed body parts. Wow, this guy's creepy. Forest Hills, Queens, where an armoured figure streaks unnoticed into an alley with an almost preternatural grace. Prodigy has come home, and so has Peter Parker. Is this fun or what? Being Prodigy is like finally becoming the kind of hero I fantasized about being when I was a kid, reading Uncle Ben's old comic books. I love that he's still got the fake nose attached, because he needs a fake nose when he's Prodigy. It's very strange. So what if this fake nose nearly takes my skin off every time I yank it off? So what if the gold face paint gives me a rash? It's worth it, and it comes off easily. Prodigy's square-jawed, decent, uncomplicated, and everyone seems to love him. Too bad I had to assume this identity because a $5 million bounty on Spidey's head for murder made it impossible to appear as the web spinner. I think people really want an old-fashioned good guy they can call their own, and after years of being the prototype for the neurotic superhero, so do I! Getting into the Prodigy costume, playing the part of the hero so square that he makes Captain America seem radical, is a total blast! He represents everything I've ever tried to be in my life, someone who always does the right thing, no matter what. But unlike Peter Parker, Prodigy doesn't make mistakes. He isn't tortured by confusion, guilt, and self-doubt. Weird, isn't it? I'm already thinking of Prodigy if all my new identities are somehow separate from me, as if they've taken on lives of their own. Don't know if I should be delighted by that or worried. There I go again, analysing everything. That's why I like Peter Parker though. He's very neurotic. Yeah, he overthinks things. This definitely reminds me of me. I like that. Well, enough. Just this once, I'm going to try my best to kick back, relax, and enjoy my. Whoops! Sorry, miss. Guess I was so lost that I thought I wasn't looking where I was going. Aunt Anna, Peter, I took the words out of my mouth. Here, let me grab that cart for you. You go to all the trouble of shopping for us. The least I could do is help you home with the groceries. Peter, how can you be so pleasant to me? So cheerful? What do you mean? Oh, I think you know. The other night I practically bit your head off, shrieking at you like some fishmonger, accusing you of being unfaithful to Mary Jane. I wouldn't blame you if you threw me out of the house and never spoke to me again. Anna, it's no big deal. Yes, it is. Here you are working at a newspaper, going to school, trying to be a good husband. And I tried to turn you into some manipulative villain. Your Aunt May was my closest friend in the world. I've known you since you were a little boy. You're kind and decent as a man as your Uncle Ben is, and I'm so disgusted with myself for... Why don't we sit down for a minute? You know, a woman gets to be a certain age and everyone thinks of her as a sweet old lady. As if we were never young, as if we never had dreams and desires, as if we've never made mistakes. I had my fair share of dreams and made more than my share of mistakes. I was married, Peter, when I was young. I didn't know. I'd moved out to California because I wanted to be an actress. Can you believe it? Me? Guess it runs in the family. I met a man. We fell in love. We got married much too quickly. It wasn't long before Jacob and I... That was his name, Jacob Hilliard. He was a radio writer. In the days when radio drama was dying. This is where it gets too soap opera-like, and it's like, the story... This little point in the story was very... I don't know. Let's just get on with it. A few more pages and we'll get back to the action. Anyway, it wasn't long before Jacob and I discovered the flush of our first love had faded and there was precious little left. But we were so young. I was 19 for heaven's sake, and we didn't know what to do. I was at an audition one day when I met Johnny DiPlama. He was a singer, a Sinatra wannabe, I guess you'd call him. Sang on commercials, played the clubs around town. Well, Johnny asked me to lunch. I knew I shouldn't, but he was so charming, so full of life. He was everything Jacob wasn't. It wasn't long before I fell in love with him, or at least convinced myself that I had. I started lying to Hilliard, telling him I was going to auditions or out with the girls, when what I was really doing was meeting Johnny. The guilt eventually ate me up. I couldn't go on lying, so I told Jacob the truth. Then I told Johnny I couldn't see him anymore, and then I got on the next flight home. Oh, Peter, how I loathed myself. Just wanted to crawl into a hole and never come out again. But thank the Lord I had friends like your aunt and uncle to come home to. They made me feel welcome. They loved me. They took care of me. Everyone thought I'd have some kind of nervous breakdown out there. Had the big bad Hollywood had crushed me. Look at Peter's face there. I'm thinking the same thing. I'm like, I could never tell anyone the truth, not even Aunt May. And that's why you thought that It reminded me so much of the way I was during those shameful days that I understand. Then you don't hate me? Hate you? I love you, Aunt Anna. And these are the days of our lives. Very sick comments. And I always will. The exhibit is called The Wonders of Ancient Supine, and it has been drawing record crowds to the Metropolitan Museum since it debuted. And of all the artifacts on display here, on loan for 2 months, from the people of Supine, none has inspired more awe, wonder and reverence than the fabled Hand of Mumfazi. This priceless ruby is said to have belonged to Mumfazi I, lord of the Sufidian empires more than 1,000 years ago. Legend has it that the ruby and the sculpted hand modelled on Mumfazi's that holds it are possessed of mystical powers. I think that it's actually relevant to the Gathering of Five storyline as well, which is a shame because it's a bad storyline. And he who owns the hand owns the key to heaven itself. There are many who scoff at such talk, and there are others who know better. Now's the time, I think, to make my presence known. Greetings, one and all. The name's Jack, Mad Jack to some, but you can call me the Jack-o'-lantern. Meow. And this is my friend and confidant, McGuire. We've come to relieve you of your burden for looking after the precious gem. Not in your life, mister. Oh, please, lad, you're talking to the man who lived and died more times than you can count. Do you think a couple of bullets through the heart could possibly be enough to stop the likes of me? Heads don't just float off people's bodies. They don't do this either. That night, in Queens. Don't know if you've noticed, gorgeous, but we're not alone tonight. But we're alone tonight. Aunt Anna's at a movie. Your Adonis-like husband is in your arms, is he? Oh yes, and this husband of yours, he's been feeling severely kiss-deprived lately. Nice. Poor thing. Do you think there's anything I could possibly do to make it up to you? Well, I've got some diagrams here that Hey! Poor Peter and MJ, they can never catch a break. I think the guy just said something about conundrum. Oh joy. You said you want the hand in exchange for my daughter's life, but the hand, I'm afraid, has been stolen by a costume thief called the Jack-o'-lantern. Please, I beg you, you must return the tabrais to us. She is our life. We will give you anything, but the hand is no longer ours to give. Conundrum, jack-o'-lantern, a parent's desperate pleas, an innocent girl's life. This looks like a job for Prodigy. The suit's upstairs, remember? There's no way that thing could fit under your street clothes. But you gotta admit, I've got a nice chest. Just go, will you? And see if you can get back here before Aunt Anna does. The Subidian embassy. Hazram, I swear to you, I'll do everything in my power to bring Tabraze safely home. Having gone through a painfully similar ordeal with my grandson that he orchestrated himself, I know what you're feeling, perhaps better than any man alive. Norman, my dear old friend, your presence here brings me more comfort than words could ever express. You have always been a guardian angel to our family and to my daughter. Wrong voice. To my daughter, most of all, my apologies for interrupting, Ambassador. But I'd like to join the illustrious Mr. Osborne in expressing a fervent desire to help in any way I can. You're Prodigy, aren't you? Indeed I am, sir. Indeed I. Gods, no, this man saved my life today. As you can rest assured, Mr. Ambassador, that I'll try and do the same for your daughter. The fiends responsible for this will pay. Sheesh, what a cornball. A Spider-Man could take him out with one hand tied behind his back. Mr. Osborne, it is an honor, sir, to meet one of New York's most distinguished citizens. I'm just sorry I wasn't around to help you with the Green Goblin mess a few weeks ago. Well, we're happy that you're here now. And if you're as naive as you appear, manipulating you is going to be child's play. What a stroke of luck finding Osborne here. Prodigy can get into his good graces, gain his confidence. Maybe I could use that as a door to gather more evidence against him. And nail that maggot for once and for all. We received a message from this Conundrum. He wishes to meet with me alone to discuss new terms for Tabraze's return. That just give me that note, sir, and I'll be glad to discuss it with him, man to man. We're blessed to have Prodigy on our side. You ask me? He's all talk and body armor. I think you're wrong, Eugene. I believe our friend Prodigy is the genuine article, a real hero, and I, for one, would like to get to know him better. In Lower Manhattan. There is an old Irish pub, long boarded up and forgotten, called Maguire's. And it's here that the Jack-o'-lantern sits, remembering torments of the past and planning vendettas of the future. Meow! I know, Maguire. I miss the old place myself. But that was a long time ago. Life's changed considerably since then, as I'm sure you noticed. Ah, will you look who's here? If you're trying to spook me with smoke and mirrors, Conundrum, forget it. I was doing the same, and better, when you were still in diapers. How did you know where I was meeting the ambassador? Oh, please, an idiot could have figured it out, and Mad Jack is anything but. I hope you're here to turn the ruby over to me. Yeah, and there's a bridge in Brooklyn that I'd like to sell you too. The hand belongs to me. Not the way I see it. Now, but let's not get emotional about this, old buddy. You want the hand, you can have it. All Jack wants is the girl. The girl? Is that what this is about? The hand of Mumfazi can give you power beyond imagining, and you want the girl? The old man often said your romantic streak was going to kill you one day, and that day may have finally arrived. I've got no personal interest in Tabraze. You of all people should know that, but I represent someone who does. Hiring yourself out like a common mercenary? That, I am afraid, would break the old man's heart. The old man's dead, Conundrum. And so, dear Jack, are you. Did you think I'd just stand here like a moron and let you take me out with that nerve gas of yours? I know all your tricks. Hey, I taught you quite a few of them. And, meow! I love that cat, it's so cool. What's that, Maguire? Trouble coming? I do not trust you, Jack, but I do trust the cat. So I suggest we put our rivalries aside until we deal with. Well, both of you here together. Why am I not surprised? Let's see what happens when an irresistible pumpkin meets with an immovable jigsaw puzzle. And that, I'll wager, should take care of you. Both, what the? Their costumes are empty? But where could they have gone? Up here, hero. Your first few weeks on the job may have been smooth sailing, but I got a feeling things are going to go downhill from here. What do you say, Conundrum? Shall we squash this little anachronism? Jack, it would be my pleasure. Great Scott! So it looks like the Prodigy is in a precarious place, having been shrunk down to the size of a small thing. Not an ant. I guess he's been shrunk down to the size of a shoe. How will he survive his encounter with the puzzle guy and the jack-o'-lantern? Find out next time. Okay, so back to the Hornet again. These are the last 4 stories that conclude the story arc. And although it was pretty good so far, these next 4 stories are brilliant. They really are like 4 of the best Spider-Man stories I've ever read. And they're great. Unfortunately, I'm not going to read them today because I need to go a bit earlier today. So I'm going to do a nice 2-hour or even 3-hour show next time I do this. Next time I read it. And I'm also going to stream some Shenmue in the future. So apologies everyone, but I hope you've enjoyed today's stream as much as I have. I feel I may have slipped up on a few words there, but don't worry about it. Next time I'm going to maybe read this again in advance so I don't slip up on any words. So hey, thanks everyone, have a good evening, and keep web slinging. That's it for today. Bye.